Harley-Davidson just announced something nobody saw coming. A brand new motorcycle for 2026 that costs less than $6,000. The Sprint, an entry-level bike targeting young riders, first-time buyers, and anyone who can't afford a $25,000 road glide. This is the cheapest Harley in modern history, and it's either the smartest move the company's made in decades, or the final desperate act of a brand that's completely lost its identity. Here's the reality. Harley-Davidson is bleeding money. Sales down 23%. Losses of $175 million in the first half of 2025 alone. The average Harley buyer is in their 50s and aging out fast. Younger riders aren't buying cruisers, and the company needs new customers or it dies. So they're building a $6,000 Harley, built on a platform they've been developing since 2021, officially announced in July 2025, set to launch in Q1 2026, and it's going to be revealed to dealers this month, October 2025, before a public unveiling at EICMA in November. Is this the move that saves Harley, or the move that kills what's left of the brand's soul? Let's break it down. Hit subscribe if you want the truth about what Harley's doing, not the marketing spin. This channel doesn't sugarcoat industry news. We tell it like it is. Bell icon. Let's go. The Sprint is Harley-Davidson's upcoming entry-level motorcycle, officially announced by CEO Jochen Zeitz during the Q2 2025 earnings call in July. Priced under $6,000 in the US, probably around 4,500 pounds in the UK. That makes it the cheapest Harley-Davidson you can buy. For context, the current cheapest Harley is the Nightster at $10,000. The Sprint undercuts that by $4,000. The bike's been in development since 2021. That's important. This isn't a rushed panic move. Harley's been working on this for 4 years. They knew they needed an affordable entry-level bike, and they've been quietly building it while the rest of the lineup hemorrhaged sales. The name Sprint is a callback to Harley's 1960s and 70s collaboration with Italian manufacturer Ermaci. The original Sprint was a small displacement bike, 250cc and later 350c, that sold from the early 60s until 1974. It was Harley's attempt back then to compete with lightweight Japanese imports. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what they're trying to do now. Harley hasn't released full specs yet, but based on leaked information, dealer documents, and industry reports, here's what we know. Engine, likely a 400cc to 500cc liquid-cooled parallel, twin, or V-twin. Some sources claim 333cc, others say 750c. My money's on something in the 400 to 500cc range to compete directly with the Royal Enfield Classic 350, Honda Rebel 500, and Triumph Speed 400. Power, estimated 27 to 40 horsepower, depending on displacement. Not a lot, but enough for city riding and highway cruising. Transmission, 6-speed manual with mechanical clutch. Reports suggest slipper clutch optional. Weight, probably around 350 to 400 pounds wet. Lightweight, manageable for beginners. Seat height, low, likely 27-28 inches. Harley knows their customers want to flat foot at stops. Brakes, disc brakes front and rear. ABS standard, required by regulations. Fuel capacity, around 3.5 gallons, enough for 150 plus mile range. Tech, digital instrument cluster, LED lighting, ride modes, sport, road, rain, on higher trims. Harley's trying to make this feel modern, not cheap. Styling, heritage inspired, but contemporary. Think retro Harley silhouette, with clean, modern lines. No excessive chrome. Matte black, silver, and red color options reported. Where it's built, this is the controversial part. Multiple reports suggest the Sprint will be built in China or partnered with a Chinese manufacturer like Benelli or QJ Motor. Harley hasn't confirmed this, but the $6,000 price point makes domestic manufacturing nearly impossible. That's going to piss off a lot of people. Made in China. Harley-Davidson's, the purists will riot. Harley's targeting 3 groups with the Sprint. 1. Young riders, Gen Z and millennials who want a Harley but can't afford the traditional lineup. $6,000 is achievable, $25,000 is not. 2. First-time riders, people who've never owned a motorcycle but are curious. The Sprint's low seat height, manageable weight, and beginner-friendly power make it accessible. 3. Emerging markets, India, Southeast Asia, South America, markets where Harley barely exists because their bikes are too expensive. The Sprint could finally give them a foothold. Harley's CEO said it plainly. This motorcycle will not only be highly accessible, but also profitable. That's the key word, profitable. Past entry-level Harleys, like the Street 500 and Street 750, failed because they lost money. The Sprint's been designed from the ground up to actually make profit at the $6,000 price point. That's why it took 4 years to develop. They had to engineer a bike that's cheap enough to attract new riders, but profitable enough to justify building. Let's be blunt. Harley-Davidson is in trouble. Deep trouble. Q2 2025 numbers were catastrophic. Sales down 23%. Losses of $130 to $175 million in 6 months. Financial guidance suspended because they can't predict their own future. Tariffs crushing profitability. The average buyer aging out. Younger generations not interested in cruisers. Harley's traditional strategy, building expensive premium motorcycles for aging American men, is dying with their customer base. The Sprint is their attempt to survive by expanding the tent. If they can hook young riders at $6,000, maybe those riders upgrade to a Softail or a Road Glide in 5 or 10 years. That's the long game, but it's risky because Harley's brand has always been about aspiration, premium quality, and American heritage. A $6,000 bike built in China threatens all of that. Will traditional Harley guys accept this? Probably not. But Harley's not building the Sprint for them. They're building it for people who would never buy a Harley otherwise. New customers, young customers, international customers. If it works, the Sprint could save Harley. If it fails, it accelerates the collapse. The Sprint enters one of the most competitive segments in motorcycling: affordable entry-level cruisers and naked bikes. Royal Enfield Classic 350, about $4,000. Massive success in India and growing globally. Simple, reliable, stylish. The Sprint's biggest competitor. Triumph Speed 400, Scrambler 400, around $5,000. Modern, fun, capable. Triumph's killing it with these bikes. Honda Rebel 500, $6,000. Best-selling cruiser in the US for beginners. Bulletproof reliability. The Sprint needs to beat this. Kawasaki Z400, Ninja 400, around $5,000. Sport-focused, but accessible. Hero Maverick, 440. India, only but growing. Affordable adventure-style bike. The Sprint's biggest advantage? The Harley-Davidson badge. For better or worse, that logo means something. People who'd never consider a Royal Enfield might buy a Harley, even a cheap one, just for the brand. But the Sprint's biggest disadvantage is also the badge. If it's not Harley enough, traditional customers reject it. And if it's unreliable or poorly built, it destroys the brand's reputation. Harley's walking a tightrope. Here's the elephant in the room. Multiple sources report the Sprint will be built in China, possibly in partnership with Chinese manufacturers like Benelli, owned by Tianjiang, or QJ Motor. Harley hasn't officially confirmed this, but the math supports it. You can't build a motorcycle in the US and sell it for $6,000. Labor costs, regulations, and overhead make it impossible. Building in China, or partnering with a Chinese manufacturer, lets Harley hit the price point while maintaining profitability. But this is going to enrage purists. Real Harleys are built in Milwaukee, York, or Kansas City. A Chinese Harley? That's sacrilege. Some critics are already calling it a scam. A Chinese bike with a Harley badge slapped on. A betrayal of everything the brand stands for. Others argue it's pragmatic. If Harley wants to survive, they need affordable bikes. And affordable means building where costs are low. My take? It's both. Yes, it's practical. But yes, it also dilutes the brand. The question is whether gaining new customers is worth risking the loyalty of old ones. Harley's betting the answer is yes. The Sprint launches in Q1 2026, probably January to March. But before that, Harley's revealing it to dealers in October 2025. This month. Then a public unveiling at EICMA 2025 in November. EICMA, the Milan Motorcycle Show, is the biggest bike reveal event in the world. If Harley's smart, they'll make a big splash there. Pre-orders will probably open after EICMA. Deliveries start early 2026. The question is, will people actually buy it? Or is this another Street 750 situation, where the bike looks good on paper, but flops in reality? Let's talk scenarios. Best case, the Sprint is a hit. Young riders love it. It's reliable, fun, affordable. It opens Harley to new markets. Sales boom. Harley stabilizes financially. In 5 years, Sprint owners upgrade to bigger Harleys. The brand survives. Realistic case. The Sprint sells okay. Not great, not terrible. It brings in some new customers, but doesn't move the needle enough to save Harley. The company continues struggling. The Sprint becomes a footnote. Worst case, the Sprint flops. Build quality issues. Reliability problems. Harley loyalists reject it. New riders aren't interested. It becomes a punchline, and Harley's reputation takes another hit it can't recover from. Which happens? We'll know in 2026. But here's the thing. Harley had to try. Doing nothing meant certain death. The Sprint at least gives them a chance. The Harley-Davidson Sprint is either brilliant or desperate. Maybe both. A $6,000 Harley targeting young riders and emerging markets. Built on a platform 4 years in development. Revealed this month. Launching Q1 2026. It's Harley's last shot at attracting a new generation. If it works, The brand survives. If it fails, we're watching the end of Harley-Davidson in real time. Drop a comment. Would you buy a $6,000 Harley? Or is this a betrayal of what the brand stands for? Subscribe for updates. EICMA is in November. We'll cover the full reveal. This is the future of Harley, for better or worse.